If you are over 60 and struggling with that frustrating feeling of brain fog, that mental slowness where words won't come and your focus feels cloudy, the cause may be hiding in what you believe is your healthiest snack. As a brain doctor, I must reveal one of the biggest mistakes my senior patients make. They reach for a handful of healthy nuts, thinking they are boosting their brain power. But the truth is, some of the most popular nuts, when eaten the wrong way, can actually fuel brain fog, trigger inflammation, and disrupt the delicate chemistry of your mind. Today, I am exposing the 6 healthy nuts that could be the secret reason you feel mentally stuck. Understanding this could be the key to clearing the fog for good. Before we dive into our first nut, if you are committed to reclaiming your mental clarity, please take a second to subscribe and turn on all notifications. And if this video helps you, let me know with a 1 in the comments or a 0 if it doesn't. Your feedback is what helps this channel grow. 1. Peanuts, the inflammatory mold imposter. Let's start with the most common and controversial one of all, the peanut. It's in your trail mix, ground into butter for your toast, and served in a bowl at every party. It's affordable, convenient, and packed with protein. But as a neurologist, I must be clear, the peanut is not actually a nut. It's a legume grown in the ground, and this fact is the source of 2 hidden dangers for your brain. The first danger is its inflammatory fat profile. Peanuts are extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids. While your body needs some omega-6s, the modern diet is completely overloaded with them. When omega-6 levels are too high, they outcompete and block the vital, anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids, the ones your brain desperately needs to build healthy cell membranes and fight cognitive decline. Eating a lot of peanuts is like sending a team of inflammatory agents into your brain while kicking out the firefighters. But the second, more insidious danger is mold. Because peanuts grow underground in a moist shell, they are highly susceptible to contamination with specific types of mold, particularly Aspergillus flavus, which produces a potent mycotoxin called aflatoxin. Aflatoxin is a known carcinogen and a powerful neurotoxin. Even in very small, legally permissible amounts, chronic exposure to aflatoxins can create significant oxidative stress in the brain, damage neurons, and contribute directly to that feeling of brain fog, fatigue, and memory impairment. I remember a patient, Mr. David Sullivan, 71, a retired salesman from Texas. He was a creature of habit. Every single day for lunch, he had a peanut butter sandwich on whole wheat bread. He considered it a simple, healthy meal. But he came to my office complaining of a persistent mental haze that he couldn't shake. He felt slow, unmotivated, and had trouble concentrating on his retirement hobbies. We ran a comprehensive panel, including tests for mycotoxins. His levels of aflatoxin were noticeably elevated. He didn't have a specific allergy, but his body was dealing with a constant, low-grade toxic exposure from his daily peanut butter habit. This was fueling systemic inflammation that was manifesting directly as brain fog. When he replaced his peanut butter with almond butter and eliminated peanuts from his diet, the change over the next 2 months was remarkable. He described it as a veil lifting from my mind. For seniors whose detoxification systems are naturally slowing down, this chronic exposure is a significant burden. So, what's my advice? Be extremely cautious with peanuts and peanut butter. If you do eat them, choose only high-quality, organic brands that specifically test for aflatoxins, and consider swapping them out for true tree nuts, which have a much better fatty acid profile and a lower risk of mold contamination. Because the nut you think is fueling, you might just be fogging up your brain. And if you think peanuts are the only popular snack with a dark side, wait until you hear about the brain-shaped nut that everyone hails as a superfood, but if sourced incorrectly, could be doing more harm than good. 2. Walnuts, the rancid fat trap. Walnuts are the king of brain nuts, right? They are shaped like a brain, and every health magazine on the planet praises them for their high content of ALA, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. Seniors everywhere are told to eat a handful a day for a sharp mind. And while a fresh, properly stored walnut is indeed a brain-healthy food, the vast majority of walnuts you buy in the store, especially the pre-shelled halves and pieces, are a neurological trap. The problem is that the delicate polyunsaturated fats in walnuts, the very fats that make them so healthy, are also incredibly fragile. They are highly susceptible to oxidation when exposed to heat, light, and air. In simple terms, they go rancid very, very easily. When you buy a big bag of shelled walnut halves from the bulk bin or a clear plastic container from the grocery store shelf, those nuts have been exposed to light and air for weeks, if not months. The healthy fats have likely already started to oxidize. When you eat these rancid fats, you are not consuming an anti-inflammatory superfood. You are consuming a dose of free radicals. These oxidized fats create a firestorm of oxidative stress in your body. They damage your cell membranes, your DNA, and the delicate structures within your brain. This oxidative stress is a primary driver of brain aging and cognitive decline. You are quite literally eating inflammation, the very thing you are trying to fight. I had a patient, Mrs. Eleanor Finch, 78, who was meticulously following her doctor's advice to eat a quarter cup of walnuts every day to protect her memory. She would buy a large bag of shelled walnuts from her local supermarket and keep it in her pantry for weeks. She came to me because her memory seemed to be getting worse, not better, and she was experiencing a new kind of static in her head. The first thing I asked her to do was to bring me her bag of walnuts. I opened it and took a sniff. They had that faint, slightly bitter, almost paint-like smell of rancid oil. She had gotten so used to the taste she didn't even notice it anymore. For months, she had been unknowingly consuming a daily dose of oxidized fats, directly fueling the brain inflammation she was trying to prevent. The solution was a simple but critical change in her shopping and storage habits. I instructed her to only buy walnuts that are shelled, ideally from the refrigerated section of the store. As soon as she got them home, they were to be stored in an airtight container in the refrigerator, or for long-term storage, the freezer. This protects the delicate fats from heat, light, and air. The difference in her cognitive symptoms after switching to truly fresh, non-rancid walnuts was noticeable within a month. The problem, once again, is the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids. As we discussed with peanuts, your brain needs a healthy balance between pro-inflammatory omega-6s and anti-inflammatory omega-3s. The ideal ratio is somewhere around 4:1 or even lower. Almonds, while containing many healthy fats, have an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio of over 2,000:1. They are almost entirely devoid of omega-3s. For a person eating a varied diet, a small handful of almonds is not a problem. But many seniors, trying to be healthy, fall into the trap of over-consuming almonds. They drink almond milk, use almond flour in their baking, and snack on handfuls of almonds throughout the day. When almonds become your primary nut, you are flooding your system with omega-6s, creating a highly inflammatory internal environment that can manifest as brain fog, fatigue, and joint pain. The lesson here is critical for all seniors. With nuts, freshness is everything. Stop buying pre-shelled nuts from open bins or clear containers that sit on a warm shelf. Treat your nuts like you would treat dairy or fresh meat. Keep them cold, keep them dark, and keep them sealed. Because a rancid health food is more dangerous than junk food. Now, if the king of brain nuts can be this deceptive, wait until you hear about the elegant, low-carb nut that many people on keto diets rely on, but which carries a hidden inflammatory imbalance. If you are finding this valuable, please let me know with a 1 in the comments. Let's move on to number 3. 3. Almonds, the omega-6 overload. Almonds are the darling of the health food world. They are turned into milk, flour, and butter. They are touted as a perfect, high-protein, low-carb snack, and for the most part, they are a decent choice. But there is a hidden imbalance in almonds that can become a significant problem for seniors if they are consumed in large quantities, especially at the expense of other nuts. I remember a patient, Mr. Gerald Kent, 69, a recent retiree, who had gone on a low-carb diet to manage his weight. His new diet was heavy on almond products. He started his day with a smoothie made with almond milk, snacked on roasted almonds, and even used almond flour for his occasional treats. He came to see me because while he was losing weight, his mind felt mushy. He was having trouble with focus and short-term memory, which was new for him. His blood work showed elevated inflammatory markers, and a fatty acid analysis revealed a severe imbalance. with sky-high levels of omega-6s and rock-bottom levels of omega-3s. His healthy diet was causing systemic inflammation that was directly affecting his brain. We didn't eliminate almonds, but we drastically reduced them and strategically added in sources of omega-3s, like walnuts, stored properly, chia seeds, and fatty fish. The rebalancing of his fats led to a significant improvement in his mental clarity. My advice for seniors is to treat almonds as part of a team, not as the star player. A small handful a few times a week is fine, but do not let them dominate your nut intake. You must actively balance their high omega-6 content with omega-3 rich foods. Variety is your brain's best defense against the inflammatory imbalance that a single health food can create. 4. Cashews. The high-lectin, high-carb nut. Cashews have a rich, creamy, buttery flavor that makes them incredibly popular. They are often used to make vegan cheeses and creamy sauces and are a staple in trail mixes. But like peanuts, cashews are not technically a true nut. They are a seed, and they present two specific problems for the aging brain: their lectin content and their surprisingly high carbohydrate load. First, let's talk about lectins. As we've discussed, lectins are sticky plant proteins that can be irritating to the gut lining, especially in older adults. Cashews, particularly when eaten raw, the raw cashews you buy in stores have been steamed to remove a toxic shell oil, but not cooked at high temperatures, are relatively high in these lectins. For a sensitive individual, a regular cashew habit can contribute to low-grade gut inflammation, which, through the gut-brain axis, translates directly into brain fog and cognitive issues. The second issue is their carbohydrate content. Compared to other nuts like pecans or macadamias, cashews are significantly higher in carbs. A single ounce of cashews can have 8 to 9 grams of carbohydrates. While this may not seem like a lot for a senior who is insulin resistant or trying to manage their blood sugar, snacking on large handfuls of cashews can lead to a more significant blood sugar spike than they would expect from a nut. This repeated fluctuation in blood glucose is, as we know, highly inflammatory and damaging to brain cells. I had a patient, Mrs. Beatrice Day, 83, who adored cashews. She would have a small bowl of them by her armchair every afternoon. She was also pre-diabetic and complained of a, quote, fading memory and difficulty concentrating. She thought the cashews were a, quote, safe snack because they were a nut. She didn't realize they were contributing to her daily carbohydrate load and spiking her blood sugar every afternoon. The lectins were also likely contributing to a general sense of inflammation. When we swapped her daily cashews for a small handful of macadamia nuts or pecans, which are much lower in both lectins and carbs, her afternoon energy levels stabilized, and she reported feeling mentally sharper. It was a simple swap that removed a source of both glycemic stress and inflammatory irritation from her system. The takeaway is to be mindful of cashews. If you eat them, always choose roasted over raw to reduce the lectin load, and be aware of your portion size. Treat them as a higher carb nut, more of a garnish than a staple snack, especially if you are managing your blood sugar. 5. Brazil nuts, the selenium overdose risk. Brazil nuts have become famous for one reason. They are an incredibly dense source of selenium, a mineral that is crucial for thyroid function and acts as a powerful antioxidant in the brain. The advice is everywhere. Eat just 2 Brazil nuts a day to get all the selenium you need. And while this is true, it is also a dangerous oversimplification that can lead to a toxic overload. The problem is that the selenium content in Brazil nuts is wildly inconsistent. It varies dramatically depending on the soil in which the trees were grown. One Brazil nut from one region might have 50 micrograms of selenium, while a single nut from another region could have over 200 micrograms. The recommended daily allowance is 55 micrograms, and the tolerable upper limit is 400 micrograms. This means that eating just 2 hot Brazil nuts could easily push you over the safe daily limit. Chronic selenium toxicity, or selenosis, can cause a host of neurological problems. The symptoms are often vague and can be easily mistaken for other age-related issues. Hair loss, brittle nails, skin rashes, fatigue, irritability, and most critically, a garlicky breath odor and a metallic taste in the mouth, along with neurological damage that can manifest as brain fog and peripheral neuropathy. I recall a patient, a 68-year-old man who was a health enthusiast. He had read about the benefits of selenium and started eating a small handful of Brazil nuts every day. A small handful for him was about 5 or 6 nuts. After several months, he developed strange neurological symptoms, including tingling in his limbs and a profound sense of mental confusion. He felt poisoned, but couldn't figure out why. It was the selenium. His daily healthy habit was creating a toxic mineral buildup in his body that was directly affecting his nervous system. My advice regarding Brazil nuts is to be extremely cautious and precise. Do not eat them by the handful. If you choose to use them for selenium, consider them a supplement, not a snack. Have one Brazil nut, maybe 2 to 3 times per week, not every day. This gives your body the benefits without risking a toxic accumulation. The line between a therapeutic dose and a toxic dose is far too narrow to treat this nut casually. 6. Pistachios. The salty addictive distraction. Pistachios are delicious. The process of cracking them open is satisfying, and their unique flavor makes them a favorite snack. They are generally a healthy nut with a decent balance of fats and protein. So why are they on this list? The danger with pistachios is not inherent in the nut itself, but in how they are almost always processed and consumed, heavily salted and eaten in large, mindless quantities. For seniors, managing blood pressure is one of the most critical factors in preventing stroke and vascular dementia. The vast majority of roasted pistachios on the market are loaded with sodium. It's very easy to sit down to watch a movie or a game and mindlessly crack and eat a huge bowl of pistachios, consuming over 1,000 milligrams of sodium in a single sitting without even realizing it. This massive sodium load can cause an immediate spike in blood pressure, putting immense strain on the fragile blood vessels in the brain. Furthermore, the act of cracking and eating pistachios can be so rhythmic and automatic that it leads to mindless overconsumption. This isn't just a risk for blood pressure, it's a risk for your brain's attentional systems. Mindful eating, paying attention to your food, your hunger cues, and your body's response, is a practice that strengthens the brain's executive functions. Mindless snacking weakens it. I had a patient who developed a habit of eating a large bowl of salted pistachios every evening while watching the news. His blood pressure, which had been well controlled, started to creep up. He also mentioned feeling more scattered and less focused during the day. The nightly sodium bomb was a clear culprit for his blood pressure, and the mindless eating ritual wasn't helping his brain's ability to stay present and focused. If you enjoy pistachios, the solution is simple but non-negotiable. Buy them raw and unsalted. If you prefer them roasted, roast them yourself at home without salt. And portion them out. Put a small handful in a bowl and put the bag away. Eat them slowly and mindfully, savoring each one. This turns them from a potential blood pressure threat and a mindless habit into a truly healthy, brain-supportive snack. Final reflection: the path of mindful nut consumption. After reviewing these 6 nuts, it's clear that the world of healthy eating is more complex than it appears. It's not just about what you eat, but how it's sourced, how it's stored, how it's prepared, and in what quantity you consume it. A food is never healthy or unhealthy in a vacuum. It is only healthy or unhealthy in the context of your unique aging body. This is not about creating a list of forbidden foods. It is about replacing fear with wisdom. It's about empowering you to walk through the grocery store as an informed consumer, not just a passive recipient of marketing claims. The principles we've discussed, like avoiding rancid fats, balancing omega fatty acids, and being mindful of anti-nutrients, are not just my opinions. They are strongly supported by leading research institutions that study the link between diet and cognitive function. For example, a major review on the role of nuts in brain health, published by the National Institutes of Health, NIH, highlights these exact complexities. Their research confirms that while nuts like walnuts are rich in brain protective compounds, these benefits are dependent on factors like freshness and the overall dietary pattern. The NIH's findings emphasize that the neuroprotective properties of nuts are tied to their ability to combat oxidative stress and inflammation, the very things that rancid or imbalanced nut consumption can actually worsen. This underscores our key takeaway: The quality and context of the nuts you eat are paramount. The path to a clearer mind through diet is not about restriction. It is about smart choices and balance. So what is the right approach to nuts? First, prioritize freshness and proper storage. As we learned with walnuts and as research confirms, rancid fats are a direct enemy of your brain. Keep your nuts in the fridge or freezer. Second, embrace variety. Don't let one nut, like almonds, dominate your diet. Rotate between walnuts, pecans, macadamias, and almonds to ensure a healthy balance of fatty acids. Third, be mindful of imposters and anti-nutrients. Understand that peanuts and cashews are not true nuts and come with their own unique considerations. Fourth, treat superfoods with respect. As with Brazil nuts, understand that a therapeutic dose can easily become a toxic one. More is not better. And fifth, control your portions and preparation. Choose unsalted, raw, or self-roasted nuts and eat them mindfully, not mindlessly. By adopting these principles, you transform nuts from a potential source of inflammation and brain fog into one of your most powerful allies for cognitive health. You move from being a passive snacker to an active participant in the health of your own brain. You have the power to clear the fog. It starts with the very next handful of nuts you choose to eat or choose not to eat. Now, I would be honored to hear from you. Which of these nuts was the most surprising to you? Please share your thoughts in the comments. A 1 lets me know this was valuable. A 0 tells me how I can improve. Thank you for your commitment to your health. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.